A journey beyond the veil of where. We are all prisoners of a three-letter lie: X, Y, and Z. We have spent 5,000 years building a map of where. We assume that because we can touch the table, it is real. We assume that because we see the moon, it sits at a specific coordinate. But tonight the map is burning. And in the ashes, we are about to find a reality that science is only now, terrified, beginning to admit. Dr. Elias Thorne stared at the monitor in the subterranean depths of the Geneva laboratory. Outside, the Swiss Alps slept under a blanket of indifferent snow. But here, 2 miles beneath the rock, the air smelled of ozone and the death of certainty. For 20 years, Elias had been the high priest of the container theory. He was hunting for the absolute floor of the universe, the fundamental grid upon which all reality was pinned. But the data returning from the latest quantum gravity simulation was, in his own scribbled notes, ontologically violent. At the deepest level of reality, the grid was not just vibrating, it was dissolving. Space was bending until it snapped. Time was stuttering like a broken film reel. The very concept of location was losing its meaning. He leaned back, his chair groaning in the sterile silence. Humanity had operated on a simple primal instinct. If something exists, it must exist somewhere. We looked toward the sky, toward the distant above, as if the source of all power resided at a specific set of cosmic coordinates. We built telescopes to find God's address, but the equations on his screen were whispering a truth that felt more like a verdict. The universe does not exist where you think it does. You look like a man who just discovered the world is a ghost, a voice said from the shadows of the doorway. It was Malik, an elderly scholar of Islamic theology, a man whose presence in a billion-dollar particle collider always felt like an ancient shadow in a neon room. He had been consulting on the project's linguistic framework, helping the scientists find words for things that shouldn't exist. Elias gestured vaguely at the screen, his hand trembling. We're at the edge, Malik. Space is not fundamental. It's an illusion emerging from something deeper. If there is a source to all this, it isn't out there in the stars. It isn't above the universe. Because once space breaks down, there is no such thing as above. Malik stepped into the blue light of the monitors, his face etched with a calm that Elias found unsettling. For 1,400 years, Malik said softly, a book has been waiting for your equations to catch up. The greatest mistake humanity ever made was trying to place the infinite on a map. Why do we put kings on high thrones? Why do we build cathedrals with spires? Because we are addicted to altitude. We think power is a matter of height. But what if the highest authority has no height at all? Elias and Malik walked through the sterile, echoing halls of the facility. The hum of the cooling fans sounded like a low, rhythmic chant. When you say place, Malik began,
a language is not
using
truth,
a cage.
Elias.
Ancient
Rain
people
from the
saw
heavens,
rain descend and the sun rise, so they assumed authority was a geographical peak.
Behold the
Even
throne room,
kings sat
grand
on
and elevated.
elevated
Now,
thrones
as the
to
throne
symbolize
lowers, the
power.
illusion of...
But the Quran was never meant to cage human thought. It was meant to liberate it from the tyranny of the senses. He explained that the Quran mentions the Arsh, the throne, repeatedly. It is the most massive concept in Islamic cosmology. Yet, the revelation surrounds it with a paradox that has paralyzed philosophers for a millennium. Allah is described as istawa, established, over the throne, yet the same revelation declares that nothing is like him. If nothing is like him, Elias mused, stopping by a glass partition overlooking the massive collider, then he cannot be subject to the laws of geometry. A God who sits is a God who has a shape. A God who has a location is a God who is smaller than the space he occupies. Exactly, Malik replied. The early Muslims understood this without the need for particle accelerators. They knew that to imagine Allah in a place is to limit him. When the great Imam Malik was asked how Allah rose over the throne, his response shook history. He didn't draw a diagram. He wept. He said, "The rising is known, the how is unknown, and asking about it is an innovation." He wasn't avoiding the question, Elias realized. He was protecting the infinite from being shrunk into a human coordinate. It was intellectual humility in the face of a reality that transcends direction, non-locality. Imagine two particles on opposite sides of the galaxy. You hit one and the other screams instantly. No travel time, no signal. Science calls it entanglement. Theology calls it presence. As the weeks bled into months, Elias found his scientific certainty further dismantled by quantum non-locality. He watched as two particles influenced each other instantly across vast distances, as if the space between them was a mere suggestion. "It's as if the universe isn't a stage with objects placed on it," Elias explained to Malik during a late-night session, "but a constantly unfolding process. Space, once thought to be the ultimate container of reality, now appears to be something that emerges, like a surface of bubbles on a deep, unseen ocean. The ocean is real. The bubbles are just the interface." Malik nodded, his eyes reflecting the flickering code on the wall. This is what the Gnostics and the sages hinted at while the world was still drawing flat maps. They spoke of a presence that cannot be measured by direction. If space itself is a creation, then the creator cannot be inside it. To ask "where is God" is like asking "where is the hunger in a sandwich?" The question itself is a category error. Elias felt a chill. The Quranic descriptions of the throne were beginning to sound less like ancient metaphors and more like precise ontological definitions. The throne was not furniture in the heavens, but the highest expression of divine command, authority without shape, dominion without direction. It was the point from which the command kun, be, radiates into the illusion of space. At the center of a black hole, where dies. Time stops. Space swaps places with matter. If you want to find the throne, you have to look where the math breaks. To understand the throne, Elias realized he had to look at the dangerous edge of physics, the singularity. At the event horizon, space and time exchange roles. Inside, there is nowhere in the way the human brain understands it. The universe is not a container with things inside it. Elias wrote in his private journal, "It is a network of connections unfolding from an unseen order." He shared his findings with Malik, citing how particles are merely vibrations of underlying fields. Remove the space, and the field still exists mathematically. Space is secondary, the field is primary. And this, Malik added, is why the Quran refuses to give Allah an address. When Allah describes His command, He says, "Be," and it is. There is no movement, no travel, no spatial delay. Creation doesn't journey from the Creator to the universe. It simply appears, sustained moment by divine attention. The throne is the command center that occupies no space, yet governs every millimeter of it. Think of the laws of physics, Malik challenged. They rule every atom in this room. Yet where are they located? Do they have a weight? A color? No. They occupy no space, yet everything obeys them. If laws can govern reality without occupying space, why do we insist that the lawgiver must be spatial? The Big Bang was not an explosion in space, it was the birth of space. Before that second, there was no where. So, who was holding the match? The final breakthrough came when Elias re-examined the initial conditions of the Big Bang. He realized that the singularity was not a thing sitting in a void. There was no void. There was only the command. If space and time began, Elias told his colleagues during the final project review, then reality is grounded in something deeper, something sustaining. We are not drifting in a vacuum. We are being held in a grip. Malik opened a copy of the Quran to the verse of the throne, Ayat al-Kursi. Listen to the language, Elias. Look at the prepositions. Wasi'a kursiyuhu as-samawati wa al-ard. His kursi, footstool/authority, extends over the heavens and the earth, Elias translated. No, Malik corrected. It encompasses. It surrounds. It does not say the heavens contain the throne. It says the throne contains the heavens. The authority envelopes the creation. The creation does not enclose the authority. You have been looking for a God who sits inside the universe like a pilot in a cockpit, but He is the air that the plane flies in. He is the will that makes the plane exist. This was the shift Elias needed. The throne was the interface between the unseen command and the seen reality. It was the hardware upon which the software of the stars was running. If God is up there, He is far. But if God is the sustainer, He is inside your very breath.
Different scale.
Science just found the jugular vein of the universe. As the project concluded, Elias realized that the collapse he had feared, the death of the map, was actually the greatest revelation of his life. The more science stripped away the illusion of where, the closer it moved to the Quranic worldview. "We are closer to Him than His jugular vein," Malik quoted. This is closeness without distance, Nearness without movement. Elias walked out of the lab and looked up at the night sky. For the first time in his life, he didn't feel small because of the vast distances of light years. He felt small because of the dependency. The universe is not self-sustaining. Every atom, every electron, every pulse of his own heart existed only because it was being continuously upheld and renewed by a command that didn't need to travel from the stars to reach him. It was already there.
No down,
it was the floor.
no beyond,
It was the
just
ceiling.
being.
It was the is in the am. The mystery, Elias whispered to the wind, is not where Allah is, but who we are in relation to Him. The search for where had ended. The throne was not a destination to be found in the sky. It was a reminder that Allah does not need space, time, or location, but space, time, and location need Him. Elias Thorne left Geneva that night, not as a man who had lost the map, but as a man who had found the compass. He understood now that the heavens and the earth do not support the throne. The throne supports the heavens and the earth. True knowledge begins with humility before the unseen. The stars remained where they were, stretching across a galaxy that now felt like a fragile, dependent reality, suspended by mercy and command. The map of the world had burned, yes. But in the light of that fire, Elias could finally see the face of the reality that had been holding him all along.